You were never meant to live at the mercy of someone else's approval or their disapproval. Hi, my name is Precious, and one of my bachelor's of science is in psychology. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of being independent of praise or criticism because your worth is not up for debate. If your self-worth rises with compliments and crashes with criticisms, you'll never be free. You'll always be waiting for validation to tell you who you are. But the truth is, your value should never be up for debate. From childhood, most of us are conditioned to seek approval. We get praise for getting good grades, we get affection for being polite, and we also get recognition when we perform. And it works because the brain responds powerfully to social reward. Praise actually lights up the ventral striatum, which is a key part of your brain's reward circuitry. It feels good and your brain wants more of it, so we keep chasing after it. But here's the cost. When approval becomes your compass, your sense of self gets outsourced. Your behavior becomes performative. You only do what pleases others instead of doing what feels true to yourself. So what originally started as an innocent conditioning becomes a loop. You perform, you get praised, you feel worthy, and then you repeat that cycle all over again. And eventually, the absence of applause starts to feel like rejection. And criticism, it doesn't just sting, it destabilizes. This is how people pleasing begins. This is how silence becomes terrifying. And this is how your self-worth becomes fragile. Let's get this straight. Approval is nice, but it's not necessary for you to live with dignity, with direction, or with power. Now, let's talk about the neuroscience of self-worth. Studies actually show that both praise and criticism activates the anterior cingulate cortex, which is also known as the ACC. So this is a brain region that is involved in monitoring conflict and errors. That means even when someone compliments you, your brain might still scan it for danger. So your brain might ask, do they mean what they're saying, or will their mind change tomorrow? Psychologist Kristin Neff in 2011 actually argues that self-compassion provides a more stable, less outcome-dependent form of self-worthiness than traditional self-esteem. Because the truth is, self-esteem relies on feeling above average versus self-compassion states, even when I mess up, I am still worthy. And neurologically, compassion-based practices increases activity in the insula and the prefrontal cortex. These are brain regions that are associated with empathy and also emotional regulation. So being independent of praise and criticism doesn't mean you're cold. It just means that you're rooted. So you can appreciate a compliment without clinging to it, and you can also receive criticism without crumbling. So your identity doesn't hinge on someone else's approval, and that in itself is power. This level of internal stability is called authentic self-esteem. It's linked with better emotion regulation, less anxiety, and deeper resilience, because when you're not chasing validation, you can finally show up as yourself. So I'm going to give you 5 ways and tips to build that kind of unshakable self-worth. So number 1, I stay grounded in my religious beliefs and values. I already know what God says about me. So if someone says something that is not consistent with what God says of me, then I don't believe it. The second is start with awareness. Know when you're trying to fish for approval and ask yourself, what need am I trying to meet or fulfill? Third one is practice internal affirmation. So I want you to tell yourself all the things that you're usually waiting for other people to tell you about yourself. Number 4 is set boundaries. Don't let others define you with their praise and break you with their disapproval. Number 5, ground yourself in your values. So let your actions reflect who you are and not what other people want you to be. Neuroscience shows and tells us that the brain can rewire through repetition. So the more you practice self-validation, the easier it becomes. So you're not pretending to be confident. You're just training your brain to believe that you are. I want you to remember this. The loudest applause will eventually fade, and the harshest criticism will pass. But who you are when no one is watching, that is truly what matters. Let your worth be rooted in not being praised, not being liked, but let it be rooted in you and what God says about you. That is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns, and let me know if there's anything you'd like me to further expand on. I will be linking the reference I used to create this video in the caption below. That is all for now. Bye.